Gatsby, glamour, sequins, feathers, and of course the girl's best friend. Today I am at the UJ Theatre and Arts Centre for the opening night of Swing, 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 presented by FAD Inc. and sponsored by Follicle Atelier. 21 youthful performers from across the country have dedicated the last 2 weeks to put together a vibrant, dazzling musical review. Now performing in front of industry, producers, directors and agents, all I can say is break a leg. Alright, Marlee van der Merwe.
Welcome back to Rendezvous. I'm Willem Botha, and standing with me are the beautiful, talented Rolene.
Diani, during the course of BPSE, the students kind of become like your children. Was it ever necessary to fetch the slipper and have some discipline?
You know what, it's such an amazing process. We go from nervous auditions through crazy rehearsals of dancing, singing and acting. They record audio, and through that process, yes, it's some tough love, but it's amazing how they grow and just the results after only 2 weeks. And you have that little proud mama look and feel on this night tonight. And I know they're going to shine, and each one of them is so unique and has something special to offer, and I know that each one of them has a future in this industry, and just in their lives ahead of them they have a future that is filled with promise, and just so proud of what they've achieved.
And off the top of your head, how would you say did BPSE 2015 compare to this year?
Gosh, we're in a different venue, so it feels very different in that regard. And I think the Swing, Swing, Swing is such a nice change. It's very, I love the 1920s, roaring 20s.
Yeah.
So I just love the new theme, and it's a great bunch of people, and each year brings its own challenges and just new exciting things that we explore each time we do it.
Now you also choreograph and kind of give stage directions to schools across the country. How would you say does the pressure and stress level differ compared to BPSE?
Can I faint now? There is no comparison. I mean, we have 2 weeks that we have to put on a full-on production, and I mean with sound, more intricate lighting, more intricate sound cues and vocal arrangements done. With school shows, it's very generic. You have a lot longer. You know, the time frame that you're doing in your have to prepare the show is really. You've got months.
Now, being a triple threat, well, technically a quarter threat for fourth threat.
Ooh.
Because you're beautiful as well.
Oh, my word!
What would you say is your advice for young performers being actors, singers and dancers?
I think it's exactly that. It's being versatile. I think especially in South Africa, you can't afford to just bank on one of your talents. You have to keep on developing and exploring other avenues in your soul, and just get better and get very, very good at doing all of them together.
Now, after you didn't place on the reality show Presenter Search on 3, you absolutely just took it in your stride, and that's quite admirable. What is your advice for young performers out there with regard to not booking their auditions?
Well, it's part of your process. You know what? You can only build a structure as tall as you want, depending on the foundation that you've laid. If the foundation isn't deep, you're going to have a shallow structure. So take it in your stride. Know that it's part of your process. My process with the Presenter Search, I mean, I've been in the industry for 14 years. I started off dancing professionally first. Comes the American accent. Spent some time there.
Yeah.
Dancing there, I started dancing professionally first, and then I started singing, and then I did the acting thing, even though acting was what I wanted to do. But you've got to be versatile. You've got to spread your wings as far and as wide as you possibly can. Be a jack of all trades, a master of some. And eventually everything sort of culminated into this opportunity where I was like, you know what, I'm never going to stop learning, never going to stop growing. I want to learn a new skill set, which is presenting, put myself out there, overcome my fear zone, and go, okay, cool, let me do this.
When scouting for talent, what would you say are qualities that you look for in a performer?
I actually just mentioned to a couple of people here as well, is I always look for an X factor. And if you don't know what an X factor is that if you stand in a crowd, like someone like Rolene, you stand in a crowd and people will know exactly who you are. I think it's someone that understands themselves, understands their skill, and by the time they stand on stage or they perform in front of television, they are completely confident in what they're doing. So it's not a question that they're sort of wondering, should they do or should they not do something. It's just that confidence for me, something I definitely look at.
And the number one no-no for someone that's signed with you?
I think to not be arrogant about this industry. I think the industry is really small, number one. And number two, to understand that for the rest of your life you are going to work on your craft. You'll never reach it, you'll never necessarily get discovered. You'll always work. Unfortunately, in our country, we're not Hollywood, so you can't just stop your career halfway through and expect to live off the money you've made, because then you kind of work in the wimpy. But it's to continuously work on your craft and understanding your strengths and your weaknesses. If you, for instance, know the black market in South Africa is growing, then make sure that you learn another skill, learn a African language, or do something different to be able to compete in that specific market. Another no-no for me is people who are lazy. I don't believe in unemployed actors. I believe in lazy actors. You can always keep yourself busy by creating your own stage show, or to work on crew, to work as crew, or to work behind the scenes as well, because that's how you sort of develop and learn.
Now, Bonnie, so the kids that you manage are doing very well in the industry, and some of them are here at BPSE. What would you say makes them successful? Is it something in the water, or is it just you know how to pick them?
Yes, Rolene, I have a very good eye. But besides all of that, every single one of them are very positive. They work very hard. They're very good with communication. They communicate with me very well. I know exactly what they want. I know what their vision is, and we're both figuring it out together. And yeah, basically they're just full of talent. They're just amazing.
Now, what did you think of the questions? What were your impressions of the questions by the students asked at BPSE today?
I must say I was like very impressed with today, and especially being on this side of everything. I wish I was 10 years younger. I wish when I started 10 years ago I had this opportunity that FAD and Diani is creating, where they can learn and they can like see where the potholes are and stuff like that. So I must say it's a very, very, very talented group, and they are very privileged to work with someone like FAD and Diani, as I said.
All right, Neels, I have great admiration for your work, from We Will Rock You to The Crucible. What would you say is a golden piece of advice you would give young performers?
Young performers, I would say the most valuable thing I can tell you now is enjoy your school plays if you're still in school. Enjoy university if you want to go study, and I really want to say go and study in whatever performance you want to actually do one day. But experiment and love it, because there's no price tag to it at the moment. You can do it for the sheer passion of it without your house payment or your bread and butter depending on it.
All right, now Megan, you're a classically trained vocalist who have traveled the world, and your talents have literally taken you to places that many people would envy. What would you say is the best advice you've received that changed you, and who was it from?
It's very interesting. The best advice that I received actually came later in my career. So after all of that hard work, and it was a message of self-love. So instead of bullying yourself, because we do it as performers all the time, yes. We're our biggest critics. Instead of forming that kind of negative language, rather form a love language with yourself. Keep on motivating yourself, okay? But it's a message of self-love. And the minute that happened, all of a sudden everything changed for me.
All right, Hanno, now Follicle often works with a lot of industry professionals. What would you say was it like working with some of the youth?
It's a bit different because they don't really know what's going on, but they're learning and they're very excited. I must say they haven't done this before, so they're not used to it. So they're still getting into it, so it feels like going, I don't know, getting a makeover or whatever. So they're all excited about it, which is quite fun actually, because you kind of get excited with them as well, which is nice.
Iggy, what do you think of the exposure that BPSE offers for these young performers?
Firstly, this is my second time that I was invited here, and I must be honest with you, I think if I was a young child again, which will never happen again, but if I could be one again, I would definitely take part in this. And if ever I have children, I would definitely send them to an experience like this, because number one, it doesn't only help them breathe life into their dreams and passions, but it also shows the children and the parents that there's definitely a future and a profitable career to follow your dream and become a performing artist in South Africa.
Well guys, there you have it for 2016's first Broadway Performance Showcase Experience. If you want to broaden your horizons, push yourself further, and even meet industry professionals, be sure to swing by the website below. Then next week, for those of you who enjoy the music genre of bluegrass, country, and the blues, be sure to tune in at 2 p.m. as I rendezvous with Georgetown. That's all from me for this week, but I see you next time.
Someone like you, I wish nothing but the best for you too. Don't forget me, I'll bet I'll remember.